Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Streamlined by 42. Now in today's episode we're going to be talking about attribution and how to use Google Analytics for very basic attribution windows. Before we dive into that, I just want to talk about attribution and why it matters. Now attribution is all based on cookies and digital touchpoints. So if you're running a lot of offline billboards, magazine ads or trade shows, attribution is not great at that, even though it can give you some directional data on like if this person attended a trade show and they became an opportunity, you can sort of still make those connections, but attribution is mostly used for digital channels. Now, when we talk about attribution, it's not an exact data driven science, even though people like to believe it's exact data driven and you get all the right answers. It's actually not. It's very much interpretive based on the model you use and how the data is tracked. So if your model has garbage data in, you're going to get garbage data out. But if your model has clean data in, you're going to get some interesting insights. Let's take a look at Google Analytics and see how we can look at attribution in a Google Analytics setup. Pull up Google Analytics, you'll see that Google Analytics has all these different data models, and the look back window is where we talk about how far back in time can it look to take credit for attribution. Now, when we want to look at attribution, we have to go to advertising and click on model comparison. Model comparison basically means that Google Analytics has these built-in models, and you're looking at how does my data or my outcomes differ based on what models I'm looking at. This is where we sort of understand what channels are driving the outcomes and how does the credit or my attribution differ based on what model I'm picking. Now, when we pull up Google Analytics, we have all these attribution, non-direct, attribution, first touch, data-driven, all these models. And this view is showing us that if we were to compare attribution, non-direct with direct with data-driven, how does these conversions change based on the model we're looking at? So for example, organic search versus direct versus paid search versus referral versus organic social, we can see how these different channels interact with each other and how they sort of complement each other, because some of them drive more of the first touch awareness, some of them drive more of the last touch. So for example, paid search, if we're comparing last click to first click or last touch to first touch, paid search is actually driving 21 conversions. Now 21 of the conversions at the bottom of the funnel are coming from paid search if we look at the last click model. But at the same time, if you look at the first click model, 17 of those conversions are coming from paid search. So that means that paid search is naturally more bottom of the funnel. If we look at organic search, it looks about the same, which is expected. And now if we look at referral, it means that referral is driving more of the first touch conversions, but not so much of the last click attribution, because it's possible that paid search is actually taking a lot of those last click attribution or conversions from referrals and actually going into paid search. If we look at organic social naturally, as expected, is driving a lot of the first click attribution. But if we look at the last touch, it's one conversion claimed by organic social in the last 28 days, but there's actually 0 for the last touch ones, because a lot of the people might click on the LinkedIn post, for example, check out the website, this looks interesting, they don't really convert, and then when the problem arises, or they might see an ad or they might see a search ad, and they actually convert by that paid search ad. So organic social is driving more of the top of the funnel awareness, which might be contributing to actually the performance of the paid search campaigns, but organic social is not driving the bottom of the funnel performance. Now we can also look at different models and we can say, okay, how does first click and last click compare to position-based time decay? Time decay means that the farther away they are from the point of conversion, the less credit they take. You can look at something called conversion paths. Conversion paths basically says that this is a customer journey that they took. How do these different touch points interact with each other? And like, if we look at early touch points, what are most of the channels that drive the early touch points? What are the middle of the funnel touch points, and what are the late touch points in that customer journey? Now, it's not exactly like the middle touch points are not exactly mid funnel, like they're not in the traditional sense, but it's like during the customer journey, what is like, if it takes them 30 days, what are the first 10 days look like? What does the middle 5 days look like? What does the last 10 days look like? So that's what sort of this means. And then you can start seeing that a lot of the early touch points are organic search and referral. A lot of the middle touch points are again organic search. And then this is what's interesting here is that towards the late touch points, which leads them to convert, you start seeing direct, you start seeing paid search, which means that they might be hearing about you from somewhere else, Quick side note, direct does not mean that they typed your website into their browser. I think that's a common misconception. Direct simply means that Google Analytics was not able to refer or understand where they came from. So it's like a bucket of know all. It might include branded organic search. It might include somebody posting a link into Slack, something that Google Analytics was not able to pick up the referred data source. But then towards the late touch points, that's where you start seeing paid search coming. So paid search is the very bottom of the funnel channel, and this sort of confirms that. And this is where you start seeing conversion by source in linear and paid organic channel. And you can start breaking it down by where these people coming from, where they're converting from. You can start seeing, looking at the naked referral sources and all that stuff. So it's very interesting to sort of compare and contrast on, like, if I play around with different models, how does that affect the data and what does that tell me? Now the magic is interpreting the data to understand what the data actually means. So you can start seeing that total touch point to conversion from like something like a Google search versus like, there's one example here where like they came from LinkedIn and then they came from Google and then they came from LinkedIn again and then they converted. So a customer journey is not linear. They might come from Google, they might click a LinkedIn ad, then they might click on a Bing ad and they may click somebody else. And then they convert. We talk about this a lot. We say the customer journey is not linear, but when you look at this view on Google Analytics, it kind of confirms that and kind of like shows you what it actually means. And all that to say, there's no right model. You have to look at the data. You have to understand how different type of model affect the data. It's not 100% accurate. Obviously, it's there's a lot of stuff that happens around. There's seasonal factors. There's other factors involved. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember to follow us on social. If you want to talk about this more, if there's something specific you want us to dig into, shoot us a note at hello@42agency.com. And thank you for watching Streamline by 42 Agency.